Hey fam, this is Uncle Doug dropping some mortgage and real estate knowledge. Today in this video anyways, we're going to be talking about the California market. I've picked 5 or 6 cities throughout California to talk about. As far as rates go, they are starting to drop. They have been dropping for the last little while now. The Fed today, in probably about another 4 or 5 hours, are going to announce the amount of rate drop that they are doing today. A quarter point has already been added to most rate sheets. So a quarter point drop has already been kind of calculated in. A lot more and more talking heads are saying we really need a half point drop. We'll see what that does. Now, obviously, the Fed rate is not directly tied to mortgage rates. This is to take all the trolls out of my feed that are going to want to jump on this. But there's an indirect correlation, right? As the Fed starts dropping rates, all the other rates tend to follow suit. Like I said, it's not a one-on-one necessarily relationship, but there is a relationship. All right, so we'll stipulate that. Let's get rolling. So rates are coming down. Let's look at the markets throughout California. I picked a bunch of random big cities just to talk about what they were doing, working my way from San Diego on up and then out to Sacramento. So let's start with San Diego. San Diego is a seller's market, and of course it is. It's like living in the Mediterranean, but in California. Actually, San Diego is one of my favorite cities. I lived down there after college. I surf and fish, so San Diego is not a bad place to be. And you can't complain about the 75 to 85 degree temperatures just about year-round, 65 to 85. So if we look at the inventory, we have seen a bump in inventory, which is good. We're still not where we were in 2022 or in 2019, where we had 1,000 units here, 800 here, and right now on single-family house we're only at 700. If you look at condos, the market's a little squishier. Inventory has definitely spiked. You can understand why. There's a lot more condos per tight area, right? It's a more efficient way to build, and so you can affect and put up more inventory quicker, and you need less amount of land than putting up single family tract homes, right? So you're going to probably see more and more high density stuff get built in highly built up areas because it's just an easy way to do it. Think of New York City. How many people live there by going up and condensing, right? And it's just more efficient. I've built over 100 house subdivision in my lifetime and put in utilities and all that stuff. And, when you can get an entire framing crew to frame up the entire, multiple, hundreds of units at one time, and then the drywall crews to come in and the plumbing crews to come in, it's very efficient, very fast, comparatively speaking. So we're seeing inventory is high. If you look at price per square foot, if you look at the trend line, this is negligible here. You're not talking about a huge drop, $10 per square, but the general trend line is that San Diego is in demand and prices are climbing. If we look at Irvine and Orange County, we're going to see, again, it's still a seller's market. There's still a lot of demand down in that area, and why not? It's just inland from Newport and all that good stuff, Balboa Island down there. Again, one of my favorite places to go hang. My parents lived in Huntington for years nearby. My sister went to Irvine. And you can see that we've had a negligible inventory bump here. We're still really light. They're not as sexy as they were in a lot of the cities in 2022. They're pretty much the same, but we're still short inventory by almost half of where we were in 2019. That's on houses, and if you look at condos, it's even tighter. We've seen inventory come up, but the prices and the demand for those lower costing units is extensive. If we look at LA County, which is obviously an enormous thing to bite off on, but if you look at the housing market there, in general, it's getting a little bit more into equilibrium. You're seeing more inventory or the number of buyers. And if you look at inventory, we've seen a pretty good incline in single-family homes. And if we look at condos, we are almost in equilibrium in LA. And you've seen a really big bump. And again, condos are much more efficient to build. They can be putting them up where tracts take up massive quantities of acres. You can put an awful lot of people in a condo on a couple of acres, right? So that's LA County. Let's look at Oxnard, which I was actually surprised to look at the size of the population today when I looked that up. It was pretty impressive. I used to live in Camarillo, and I grew up in Thousand Oaks. So this is my stomping ground. My kids still live in this area, as does my mother. And really, really high demand in Oxnard, and that's because it's affordable. And you're near the beach. It's probably one of the most affordable beach communities in California. Channel Islands is phenomenal. You're real close to Ventura. A lot of really great activities, outside stuff. The weather's just about perfect. And if you look at our inventory, we're pretty flat here. So, and it's a seller's market. And if you look at condos, we have, again, it's more efficient to build. You haven't seen a big bump in inventory, especially compared to, well, they're not talking a lot of, you're only talking 120 units, 110 units, but we're still only at half. So, Oxnard, Camarillo, Ventura, all great places to live, less expensive than Thousand Oaks, Westlake Village, Newbury Park. So people are migrating down the grade, and that's what you're seeing. I pulled San Francisco. San Jose is probably, I didn't check San Jose proper, but we'll do San Francisco today. And again, big heavy sellers market. And if the median price has been, fairly flat, but if you look at the price per square foot, inventory is what I meant to look at. Inventory is kind of, not really doing anything too exciting, right? It's really not doing anything great. So that's on the houses. If you look at the condos, again, this is a high density city, and condos inventories is fairly stagnant, fairly flat. If you look at the trend line right through here, for years it's been kind of going right through this. We had a bump in looks like in 2020. So San Francisco, again, really heavy upward pressure right now. And finally, if we look at Sacramento, we're seeing the same. We're seeing that it's really heavy sellers market right now. Again, this is another fairly affordable area considering, you're talking prices in the 5s and 6s versus a lot of California where California has 220 of the 550 cities in the United States that have average sales prices of over $1 million. So 40% of the really high cost areas are in California. So you can see that there's going to be a lot of pressure to move to the outskirt areas that have just more land and lower costs. And that's what you're probably seeing here in Sacramento. And again, you've got the river right there. You're not that far from San Francisco and the ocean. You're also not that far from the Tahoe area. So you kind of have the best of all worlds right in the middle of the country, or of the state, and you can kind of hit both sides of the state from there. And this is considered Northern Cal. And so if you look at the median price, where the trend line is upward, and if you look at the inventory, we've had a nice bump, but again, we're still hundreds of units short and almost 300 short of the heyday. So we're not anywhere near massive bubbles in California. You're going to see some pretty decent-sized bubbles, I think, pop in, and this is not a political statement, but people can identify this, the red state. So going from Texas across to Florida, all those states have a lot of land. They got a lot of movement there during COVID when everyone was working from home and people wanted more lax COVID laws, and there's a bunch of reasons why people did that. And now you're seeing a lot of these people put those places up on the market, and those markets are probably getting pretty squishy right about now. So that's it in a nutshell. Those of you in California, California is a very high level, high cost area, most areas, especially some of the San Diego, Irvine, LA, Thousand Oaks, Westlake Village area. I want to invite you guys to come learn about the most powerful loan available in the United States. This is a disruptive kind of loan that the banks really don't want you to know about. It's been around for 20 years. It was originally marketed by the high-end guys at Merrill Lynch and Ameriprise. Go to gohomeselect.com and then go to the More. Whoop, I'm blocking it here. Go to the More tab and go to the Zoom presentation and sign yourself up. We won't abuse your website. It's next Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. Here's our little disclaimer. Have yourselves a great day.